excited for this one. As Whit mentioned, my name is Seamus McGrath, and I am a senior partner manager at Drift, and I've spent the last decade or so being a student of B2B buying and selling. Previously, I was at HubSpot, currently at a company called Drift. And over the last 3 years, I've been working on building our channel program from the ground up. We've partnered with over 300 different agencies globally, a lot, and I've had the opportunity of coaching a lot of digital agency founders and team members on best practices with conversational marketing and strategies and tactics to bring this into your own funnel, into your own ecosystem. So super excited to have the opportunity to chat with y'all today. Please, let's make this conversational. I told Whit to interrupt me if there's any questions. We can field those real time. So I'd love to answer anything I can. If I don't have an answer, I'll make sure to follow up with you. But I'll try to take the next 30 minutes to add as much value for folks that are exploring what this could mean for their business, or maybe they're using it today and they want some practical takeaways to increase the success of their conversational marketing platform or Drift. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the 4 topics that we'll be talking about today. Obviously, the first is a lot's changed over the last 4 or so months. So now we're pretty much all remote. And I want to talk to you about some things that we're seeing from a remote sales perspective and how to connect with prospect clients. Additionally, another important topic we're going to cover is amplifying campaigns that you're currently running today. And then the last 2, just converting more site traffic, everyone's favorite topic, and then increasing ROI without adding headcount. So that's what we'll be going through. Let's go ahead and get started. So everybody's probably pretty familiar with this image. This has totally reshaped our businesses, our environments, our communities over the past 4 months. Frustration, anger, opportunities, everyone's been affected differently. But one thing's been pretty true that I found, and it's that your website's more important now than it ever has been before. Think of it as your store, right? Your website is your store. It's your best asset, your best sales rep. And there's a lot of people that are coming into your store. This is J. Crew, one of my favorite stores. And unfortunately, for a lot of people on the call today, or just us marketers in general, this is how we've been operating our store, right? And so think about it for just a moment here. We're driving a lot of people to our store. Our doors are open, right? People coming to our website, our store, and then they're probably doing some research. And if they want to talk with you, chances are they're going to have to fill out a contact form, right? And what typically happens after that is they become a lead in your database, in your CRM, and they get maybe an email from a BDR or a sales rep trying to schedule a meeting with you. And at some point, maybe in the future, you talk with them, right? And so knowing that your website's your most important asset today, and this is the experience that a lot of us are delivering, clearly there can be some friction from the buyer's perspective, looking something like this. Someone getting a call, getting interrupted from their day-to-day, hey, this is, hey, Seamus, I'm calling because you were in my store an hour, a day, a week ago. You want to talk? And chances are I'm going to say, I'm not going to pick up, or if I do, I'm going to say, you know what, I'm not interested right now. I've got 1,000 other things going on. Call me back later, or we'll never connect, right? And so we're still operating in this world of later for most of us. That's not the case for all of us, and I want to be very clear about that. But from the majority of companies I've been working with over the past 3 years, we've been helping them rethink their marketing funnel and the way that they're approaching people that are in their store on their website. And I think that's really where conversational marketing comes into play. And I think the biggest importance today more than ever is connecting people on your website now. And why does now matter? Now matters because there's more options and information available to your buyers than there ever has been before. Your options, or your buyers' options, are your competitors, right? Do a quick Google search in the industry or the category that you're in. Chances anywhere from 15 different companies that are all trying to start conversations or talk to your audience, right? There's just the world we live in. If you type in conversational marketing, you're going to see, a half dozen or a dozen different platforms that claim to do what we do. True for most industries. Additionally, we have more information than ever before. Buyers are doing their homework before they come to your website, before they talk to your sales team. There's just a ton of info out there and reviews. And so now most of the control is in your buyer's hands, right? And so that causes this infinite supply issue. There's so much information, there's so many competitors that your buyers don't really know who to trust or who to go to or what information they need to know to make the best decision for them. And so that's caused us to rethink how we're going to market, what this means for most businesses. And we think that there's a new rule for all businesses today. And it's pretty simple. That rule is whoever is making it easier to buy is going to win. I'll say that again. Whoever is making it easier to buy will win in this environment, because most of your competitors and maybe yourself are still making prospects and future customers wait, right? And they're increasing the friction in their buying process. So making it easier to buy from you gives you an enormous leg up. Is my audio coming through okay, Whit? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
You're good.
I got that your internet is unstable message pop on my Zoom. You know that one? And
yeah,
I got a little nervous.
It was a little flicker, but you're all good. So keep it rolling.
Cool. All right. And so we gathered some really interesting stats over the past 5 or so years. And one really startling one that came from LinkedIn is that 81% of your future buyers are not going to fill out gated content. So that was like lead source number one for a lot of marketers that have been in the space for a decade or so. It's all about the gated content, baby. The white papers, the ebooks, the infographics, the case studies, like gate that and generate leads. But we're seeing this massive decrease. And this is from 2 years ago, and it's continuing to trend down, where people just aren't interested in giving up their information because they know what's on the other side of doing that. Cold calls and emails. It's really frustrating for buyers. Additionally, we actually did an experiment in early 2019 where we sent out 1,000. We filled out in our space, B2B SaaS, 1,000 form fields. And 90% of those businesses, they did not respond to us in 5 minutes, right? And I'll get back to this point because it's important, but think about that. 90% of people in 5 minutes didn't get back to a future sale for them within 5 minutes. This is the startling one. 58% of those businesses didn't get back to us at all. Crazy, right? I bet there's some marketers in here that are frustrated, like, my sales team, they're never following up with leads. And it's true. There's a big disconnect, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. I want to come back to this. We know from Harvard Business Review and a plethora of other studies that the speed to lead is one of the most important aspects in your sales process, right? Getting in front of a future customer while they're engaged with you on your website or thinking about you is the most powerful way to book a demo or start a sales conversation. After 5 minutes, your rate drastically decreases of ever having a chance to start a conversation with them. So I want us to keep that in mind as we go along today. And if we think about, we have a question?
Yeah, there was just a question about those last numbers. So is that, just across B2B websites, or is that consistent you see in both B2C and B2B as well?
Yeah, really good question. So this was a sample. I can speak for the data we collected. This was a sample of B2B, like blue chip SaaS businesses. So nothing, cool. We didn't do any B2C, but I can try to surface some B2C results as well.
No, that's definitely very relevant for this audience. So thanks for the clarification there. And thanks for the question.
Yeah, great question. If we think about like how we're equipping our sales teams today, it's an email. And don't get me wrong, they work well. I'm on the phone all day. I'm sending emails all day. They still work. But the biggest thing I've learned, in the past couple of years is that a sale in B2B typically doesn't happen unless a conversation occurs, right? but we're still kind of starting our conversations by outreach or email. And so something's broken here. And if you think about fixing a problem, you have to understand the root of that problem, right? And so this graph that you're looking at, on the left side, we have the opportunity conversion rate, low to high. And on the right, we have response time, days to seconds, right? And so this is the primary world that we've been operating in for the last decade. It's just been forms, white papers, webinars, and contact us forms. And as you can see, they have a very conversion rate and a pretty slow response time, not great. Now, one of the things that we introduced about 2 to 3 years ago, what if we just used live chat for sales reps? What would that look like? And we saw some improvements, right? The response time went up, great. Conversion rates went up, also great. But we ran into a lot of challenges, and those challenges were that sales reps have a high priority on their time, right? And so what we need to focus on is like, how can we get our sales team with the most quality at bats? And that just wasn't possible through live chat. There's no way for us to filter out the noise. You get customer problems, you get low quality leads, and ultimately we chew through a lot of time. So that was promising, but it wasn't necessarily the golden goose. What we did find to be the most effective, and really why we started Drift, was that chatbots combined with live chat in a sales and marketing environment really was the key to increasing your conversion rate and reducing your response time. It was a 24/7 solution, and it allowed our sales team to focus on the quality opportunities that we wanted to talk to. It was a breakthrough a couple years ago, and it's been adopted at lightning speed throughout the B2B community because it's been incredibly effective. And it really starts with understanding who you want to engage with. So anytime you're thinking about your audience or content creation, you really start here. And the same rules apply for conversational marketing, right? When we think about the experience we give to our website today, or website visitors rather today, it's usually like, hey, click around, check out our case studies, read our product or our service page, and then if you talk, like, fill out a form. But there's a massive opportunity to start thinking differently. Start thinking about the anonymous website visitors coming to your site for the first time, or maybe a content subscribe blog that keeps coming to your site over and over again, or maybe even your target accounts, logos that you want to win. What is the experience that they're getting when they come to your website today? I'm imagining, like most B2B businesses, it's probably the same that you give to everybody else, right? Read our case studies, fill out a form if you want to talk to us. And these are our target people we're trying to start conversations with and sell to. And the same goes for the ideal customer profile, which is like the firmographic or revenue or industry that you're trying to sell into. We're giving them the same experience, and customers and sales engaged as well. So like, it blows my mind, when I think about all these personas that are coming to your website, we're basically handing them the same brochure, right? And placing the same importance on everybody. Like, hey, if you want to talk to us, do this, right? Same experience. And so what I really enjoy about working with B2B companies especially is just this simple formula of greeting somebody when they hit your website and actually asking them what they care about, giving them a choose their own adventure, right? And that allows us to do some really cool stuff. If they have interest, and I'll be breaking this down a bit more into detail in our blueprint, but if they have an interest, like, cool, like, let's give them some value. Let's surface documents they care about. Let's capture an email in exchange for something, an ebook, a demo, whatever. And let's let our sales team talk to them, right? This whole first section is about, like, how can you talk to people in this remote world? Like, it's simple. Like, let's get our sales team talking to people that are on our website. And additionally, if it's a support track, customer, etc., let's give them some FAQs so we can take some of the burden off of our customer support teams while they're on the site or while they're talking to you, and give them access to your articles or helpful resources, and eliminate the need to always create a ticket or to always have your support team jumping on a call, right? So like, this is like, it's simple, it's not easy, but this is like the simple thing that you can start doing is just start talking to people on your website today, right? We're not going to trade shows, events, conferences, etc., but you still have a website. And I'm imagining, I know the type of companies that you guys work with, most of them are blue chip companies, and they're investing in their digital assets. They're trying to drive more people through digital channels. And sometimes the big miss can just be, hey, like, how are we thinking about talking to these people when they come into our store, right? So simple as that. Start talking to people in your stores. Before I move on, is there any other, to this next section, is there any questions or thoughts from the audience?
Questions? Actually, I know you're going to kind of drill into this a little bit, kind of segues into this next section. But one thing I'm curious about, and sometimes when you land on the page and you get the chatbot right away, how much of maybe there's some testing around this, but how much have you seen where that's an effective tactic versus letting the user browse around and then deploying the chatbot maybe in a subsection? I think to some degree there's an instance to say like, hey, we're here to help, or what are you here for today, versus letting them browse some of the content and then hitting them at further down funnel.
Super good question. The answer really is it depends.
Cool.
And coming back to this point, the way that you start engaging with your audience, I really think it depends on what page they're on. Are they a known contact in our database? Are they a target account? Are they a customer? So it's typically not a one size fits all. If we were to remove like the web page that they were currently viewing, or to remove the audience that you want to engage with, I would say primarily the importance is on the type of question or the type of welcome message that you present. So a lot of folks that have tried chat usually have hi, how can I help you? But I would encourage here's how we can help you. Talk to support, get a case study, right? All these different options, and that tends to be much more useful for the site visitor, so they can navigate through the website. Instead of just having like what I would call like a voicemail or a voice recording, hey, how can I help you? Because that's kind of not really going to help them.
Sure.
So have some options.
Cool.
It's a great question, though. Of course. All right. So if there's no further questions on that first part, I'll keep rolling here. I want to talk about amplifying campaigns with personalization and segmentation. And I'm going to start here because knowing the audience listening to this webinar, a lot of them are working really hard. Marketo to begin with, most of them are probably looking across the different channels that to drive website traffic, and typically we're just driving them to some type of form or landing page or some type of asset. And as we know in the industry, like a good conversion rate is like 1 or 2%, right? So all this work to create ads and content, etc., and we're just pushing them to a form, or we're pushing them somewhere where they have to like give us information. And I want to challenge you to think about taking your campaigns and starting a conversation with them. And the reason that this is so different is because we can really make this much more of an experience for them, and give them a lot more, kind of meet them where they're at, and then ask for that conversion event. And the results we've seen from doing that are typically double, maybe even triple, just giving them a form to work with. So really engaging with them based on that lead source they're coming from. So for example, we have a lot of customers that run ads on Google, and then those links usually just typically connect to a homepage or a landing page. But if you connect them to a chat, it's a very different experience. That chat could say, hey, thanks for coming from Google. We have people standing by that can help you now, right? So it's a very different way to just engage and to think about how you run your campaigns, because it gives you much more options, and it gives the buyer a lot of options. I wanted to share a couple examples on campaigns that we've seen some of our customers running. This one in particular, a company called Uberflip. I'm sure some of you have heard of them. But what I like about this is someone coming directly to their homepage. This is actually after hours. So call it from 6 p.m. onward. And they're using Drift and chat to continue being a concierge on their site and having a conversation off hours to still convert website traffic and even to book a demo for their sales team in the morning. So people will wake up and they've got qualified meetings actually booked for them. And this works just well just for your standard like homepage. Wistia, this is one that I actually like a lot, because when most people start with conversations, they usually put it across their forms or their landing pages. We call this skip the form. And Wistia is basically doing a great job of this. Someone hits your landing page and maybe they're like not ready to give you information, but start a conversation with them, try to understand what they're trying to accomplish, and then you can ask for that email or that conversion event. And we can skip the line directly to a sales rep's calendar, a support calendar, right? We're just streamlining that whole back end process of waiting for someone to fill out a form and then trying to chase them down to book a meeting. Why don't we just give a calendar on our site, right? So it eliminates a lot of headaches for marketing and sales teams out there. Another one I like a lot, so blogs take a ton of time and resources to create. And I don't know if I've seen a lot of great examples of marketers, sales, whomever, or web owners just converting traffic on or subscriptions on the blog itself. So here's Snowflake. Someone's consuming content. Hey, you want to keep up with the latest news? Just give us your email. We'll go ahead and we'll subscribe you automatically. Simple, easy, effective. Marketo, one of our like marquee clients, they basically use Drift to nurture folks through the funnel. So they've got all these contacts that are in their database as an MQL or PQL, and maybe they're coming back to their site again. They're actually asking some follow-up deeper questions to understand how they can make that that next step occur, and they're using conversations to do that, right? So super cool. If you have a bunch of the contacts in your database, like leverage those to have intelligent conversations when those people come back to your website. Couple more here. This is a closed one. They're using Drift just to your straightforward like register for a webinar, and they have a button that triggers a conversation. And instead of filling out that whole form, it's all done directly through this chat experience. They're getting that conversion event that's syncing directly with their CRM and automation. And they're actually able to put in the calendar, like just click here to connect your Google Calendar or your Outlook, and we'll go ahead and send you the meeting invite or the webinar invite. Yeah, and then the other thing I think that we've seen changing, I talked earlier about gating content. 81% of people are not going to fill out a form to get your content. So why not give it to them for free? Why not think about a different way to let folks absorb your content? And while they're scrolling through this, like give them a chat experience where they can ask questions or do certain actions that would be important for them or for you, right? So they can book a meeting directly through this or request a demo or get free stickers. It's really, really powerful. You get a lot more people consuming it, and you also have an opportunity to build a connection and to build some type of action item from content. It's a great way to use this for evergreen content that you already have, repurpose it, and put it in this experience. The last two, target accounts. Again, I was talking earlier about like giving everyone that same experience. When you have your target accounts hit the website, give them a really enticing message. Tell them that you worked with companies just like theirs. Let them talk directly to their account owner and expedite that. Create a fast lane experience, right? This method is really great for anyone that's doing like target accounts, because most of the time those target accounts are hitting the website and we never know about it, and we never try to even outreach or engage with them. This is like the best, like most well-kept secret in ABM today, is just like when they're on the website, just chat with them, start the conversation. This is a bonus, the last one. Marketers like this a lot because like when they create multiple landing pages for different campaigns, you can just power one landing page and then change the conversation based on the audience. So you're seeing an iframe right here, and it's just depending on who hits this landing page, we're able to change that message. So it's super compelling for like multiple campaign use or just personalization. We've seen this work really well. But the most important thing is like that's the front end experience for the customer or the website visitor, but actually how we're connecting those customers or future customers with our team is actually the most important. So from left to right here, you're seeing basically a human to human, which is live chat, all the way up to a human to chatbot interaction. And essentially, I want to share a couple of areas for the current Drift customers or folks that are just exploring what this would even look like on how to do that. And there's some different schools of thought, right, depending on your organization and your resources. But primarily, you'd probably fall in one of these different ranges here. So one of the areas that we think about is like, all right, we have all these customers that need to do routing specific to their own business, and that's pretty deep. But imagine if we could just make it easier as there's priorities. So the first priority was like if a visitor if a visitor meets a certain set of conditions, let's route them to that person at your company. Or if there's an account owner in Salesforce, let's do a quick lookup and route them to that person. Or if a visitor already has a Drift account owner, let's route them to that person. So you can just take these examples and plug them into your own funnel, your own business, and start just easily routing these conversations to the right people in your business. And again, knowing the situation we're in, your sales reps are not in the field anymore. You have people coming in from their region onto your website, connect them directly to the sales rep there. And this is kind of what it looks like when you actually set up a flow. So it's like that priority. If we find a Salesforce owner, let's start there. If we can't find a Salesforce owner, what's the US state or the country or the zip? If we can't find that, if we get to this rule, then let's just route it to a round robin group of people that might be able to handle this, right? So you've got all these different options. And again, it's just like connecting people that want to buy from you to the people that you can sell it to them. Like that's all we're doing here. Another thing I think that's important to touch upon is like the actual targeting. Like who do we want to start these conversations with and how do we make it relevant for them? One of the things that I think is really important, like most of us go after a certain ICP, ideal customer profile, and typically they're an industry or a customer size or they're in a certain geography, whatever. What we can do is really go after those people and start relevant conversations based on that information. So we're just doing an IP lookup and we're saying, oh, this company is a SaaS business and they're on our products page. Let's give them this message. Hey there, our best in breed SaaS solutions have helped companies like insert their name, drive new signups, leveraging conversations. Can we show you how? If you get that message on the website and you're a SaaS business, like the chances that you are going to click on that and engage with that are so much higher than if you said, hey, how can I help you?
I kind of think like the typo almost makes it more engaging, where it's like best in bread. Oh, okay, I'm going to click and see what's going on here because it's kind of a little bit more fun, right?
That's exactly it. You're in character and rules in these situations. So emojis and like pictures of the office dog as the icon, like those are the things that really make it fun and make it useful for folks that are engaging. But bread is it sourdough? Is it rye? That wasn't funny. I don't know why I said that. Anyways, moving on.
I was laughing. I was just muted.
Oh, cool. I'm glad I had one person. Thanks, Whit. Another thing is like you have like Marketo or Pardot, like all this information that's sitting in your marketing database. Like let's use that. So this is a cool example. Someone signed up for this webinar. So as a matter of fact, after this webinar, if I wanted to take this list of people that joined and put it in a Drift, and you guys came to Drift, you could see a message that said, hey, how did Seamus do on that webinar, right? Something like that. And so this is what you can do for your own business. You can have a webinar, you can have any type of event or any type of MQL or SQL, whatever it is, you can take that audience directly from a Marketo, Pardot, Eloqua list, put it in Drift, and if those people, we use their cookies, so if those people come to your website, you can now say, hey there, thanks for attending the webinar. Did you want us to send the recording or a guide on how to boost more revenue through chat, right? So it's simple as acknowledging that they came to the webinar. They're probably someone that's important that wants to purchase or talk or explore. Let's give them that opportunity, and then of course let's give them that experience if they want that. And keep pushing them down the funnel. I know I'm just going to go through these quickly because we got a lot more to cover. The other thing I think is super important, again, this all stems from like understanding that your website is your most important asset. This next section is brand new to Drift. Actually my first time talking about it, but I think it's the most powerful thing that we've come out with, and it's really shaping the way that we're thinking about starting conversations with people. We call it audiences. And for those current Drift customers, contact your rep and see how you can get this, because it's really special. What we're doing is we're looking at every web page and asset that you own, and we're showing you what's covered, like where are you starting conversations and how many conversations are you starting and how many meetings. So it's basically its own mini funnel. And we're going to show you like what you're not covering so that we can start creating more conversations on those assets. So a lot of the times, like you're not thinking about the audience is coming to your website, but this will help you think through that. So if I know that most of my traffic is coming from the United States and that there's 60,000 people in 1 month coming and only 18,000 are going to see a chatbot, how can I increase this to the 42,000 that are not coming or seeing a chat, right? Same thing, like we've got internet and software and service companies coming to our website, or we've got a lot of social traffic. So thinking about like who's coming to your website from where, who are they, what industry, how big are they, allows us to power relevant conversations and to focus more on those audiences. This is super important. And having this data, I think is, it spans further than drift in conversational marketing. It spans into your messaging on your website, into your like sales process, talk tracks, use cases, etc. This will actually give you a pretty good understanding of like who cares about us, right? And then the last thing I'll show is like this gray area. These are things that what we say not covered and covered. These are all 60,000 people from the United States that are heading to your website. Only just under 20,000 are going to see a conversation. The other 40,000 are not, and the reasons are because we probably have our targeting rules set up to only display. The point is we can share all these different areas of opportunity across your website today that you probably haven't thought of as a way to start conversations, as a way to automate conversations and convert more sales leads and ultimately create more demos and opportunities. So before I move on to the next section, any thoughts or questions?
Questions are rolling in. I'm actually going to save those to the end just because I know we have a couple more sections to get through, but I actually had just a quick question myself. So, you talk about the segmentation, Seamus. I think, you talked about the survey of 1,000 websites you went out and you didn't get responses. I found that I've gone out and just, tested chatbots on different sites and I get the same cadence every single page I land on. Like I don't see the variation. What percentage of, the customers that you've seen are using the full capabilities of the segmentation and really thinking through that strategy versus saying like I'm just going to do it once, get some leads and set it, forget it, and then never reevaluate it?
Such a good question. Yeah, such a good question. So most of the folks that are, creating that same experience on every web page, they're still in phase one. They're basically just deployed a chat. And they probably haven't optimized it or iterated on it. I think one of our biggest challenges as a company has been, this is a new category and a new skill set. And so when we first launched, it was all about market share. It was all about beating everybody else to market and kind of getting people to sign up with us and work with us. And so now we're starting to see, we're really reinvesting into our current account base and showing them how to take it from like that perspective, like, hey, same experience, to like, let's think about all of your campaigns, traffic, audiences, and like reassess how we do this better. But a good amount. I mean, I'd say, I don't know if I have a percentage of our customers doing that, but I'd say, we're still showing a lot of growth opportunities for people that are just putting the, hey, how are you? And they're still seeing success with us, which is great. But there's plenty to do with those accounts that need some help and that need to take it to that next level.
Great, thank you. And I know we have some more questions, guys. Thank you. Keep them coming in. We're going to get to these at the end. I just want to give Seamus the opportunity to trek through some more of the slides, just so, because we're already starting to bump up on time.
Cool. How much time do we have? I don't have a clock directly in front of me.
It's 12:07, so.
Okay.
So, just do your best. It's great. Cool. A lot of content here. So we're, and I'm sure we can always do a follow-up session where we dive deeper into some of these areas as well.
Okay, great. Cool. All right. So I want to talk about converting website traffic. I think this is like the bread and butter of the talk. And I'll start with a quick, like, left side. This is business-centric. The old world that we lived in before G2 Crowd and before Trust Radius and before all these platforms where you could review software and review products in the B2B sense, like we had all the power, right? And so, we used to qualify the company, and we used to get like give random calls and emails to people, and we didn't ever like personalize the experience, right? And that was the old way of doing things. And we think we've evolved. This is probably 3 years ago. We really evolved to a customer centric. The companies that were taking a customer centric approach were starting to win, treating their customers and website traffic and people that were in their ecosystem like a person, letting people buy on their own terms, engaging on their own terms, and giving them a really personalized experience. So just starting here, like things are changing, things have changed. Being customer centric is definitely incredibly beneficial. And I think following that, there's a lot of trends that are happening and have been happening. And it's that most people are very comfortable messaging. They message on their phone, to their colleagues on Slack, right? Everyone is like using messaging as the major form of their communication. But as a business, we haven't really tapped into that. Most companies haven't really thought about what their consumer preferences are, and they're really not optimizing for how our future customers want to interact with us. So I want to talk to you about just a blueprint that we set up and how to think through this as best we can. And again, we create all these website pages and they all have a purpose. Your home page is different from educational and high intent pages, like your pricing page, for example. But to your point a moment ago, Whitney, we typically give them that same experience, or if they're using chat, we typically say that same thing of like, hey, how are you, right? And that's really where we're taking accounts that are doing that and kind of like the framework you should think about when you do set this up, right? So the first thing is like, what pages are on your site and what site traffic, or what pages are getting the most site traffic, right? Additionally, coming back to that point a minute ago, look, who is coming to our website and where are they coming from? Do we get a lot of traffic from ads only? Do we have a great organic SEO, presence? Do we do a lot of events and webinars or blogs and content? Like focus on what page they're on, who they are, and where they're coming from. And then what we can do is just create a simple 3-step process. So for example, you got here the buyer, the bot, and the company from top down, buyer, bot, company. So anytime someone comes, we're asking them a question and we're qualifying and routing them to what we call a CDR. It's a conversational development rep. It could be interchangeable with an SDR, like LDR, AE, whatever you call them. But route them to some type of business development rep for questions. Or if they're ready to go, if they're a target account, go right to the AE, right? Additionally, if they're top of funnel awareness stage, they're trying to get some education, like let's get them qualified and let's get them into our nurture tracks. Let's convert them into a lead, push them directly to our Marketo, HubSpot, Eloqua, and let's keep nurturing them until they become a customer. And then if they're like just need help trying to navigate your website, let's just give them the help docs, the pages that they want to see, the case studies, etc. Let's just surface those. And last but not least, if they're a customer already, let's help them with support. Let's route them to our customer success team, or let's just create a ticket for them. So those are the three things. It's really sales, marketing, and support, right? And so the most important thing here is just like when we engage with them, and that's now, right? We learned that earlier, that's now. And so taking this one step further, we know the page they're on, we know who they are, we know where they came from. Let's start by engaging them with that relevant message, right? We'll create a specific chat for that audience on that page. And it's typically going to consist of a greeting, a response to that greeting, and then some type of value, right? Oh, great. You're a target account. You saw a greeting that's relevant to your industry. You saw a few responses like book a demo, read a case study. And the value is we'll send you our top 10 guide on how to do X, Y, or Z, right? That's great. The other way is to understand by asking questions. If we don't know who they are, they're an anonymous website visitor coming from SEO. Let's ask them some questions and qualify them, right? Great, now we understand who they are. Now we can recommend a solution. And that comes back to that process, or that 3-step process I was just talking about, sales, marketing, and support. Just that simple of just like understanding who, where, and why they're on our site by asking some questions, and then saying your sales, your marketing, your support, and kind of having those buckets, right? And if they're sales, it's just routing that conversation or booking that demo. If it's support, it's a conversion, pushing data into your marketing automation. And if it's support, to creating a ticket or surfacing documents that are relevant to them. So that's the framework. People that have implemented this, when I created this, I actually wasn't supposed to say the name of our customers, but this is MongoDB. They're out of New York. they did not have a chat. And in the course of 12 months, they started 12,000 conversations, 481 opportunities, and 13 million in pipeline, just by turning on chat. And this is Slack, 10 months into a relationship, 7,000 conversations, and they only had it on one page after hours. So like super limited on their website. But just by opening up this channel, people were really comfortable, Slack obviously being a messaging company, like messaging them and using the chat. And then last but not least, Palo Alto and SF, just by using conversations, like look at their funnel, $31 million in closed one over 6 months. I mean, it's pretty incredible results. And if you notice one thing, it's like everything's just starting with a conversation. And that's it. It's this whole presentation. If you take one thing away, it's just like have conversations on your website. That's it. All right. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is just increasing ROI without adding headcount. I think we know that this is really relevant because not a lot of companies are hiring right now. We have to make do with the resources that we have, the team that we have in place. And that's not across the board, but for the most part, I think that's probably where we find ourselves. And we all know that we're probably trying to invest in digital channels. So I'm going to try and make it relevant to like the COVID-19 times. But a couple of things that I think could help you guys today, coming back to this, is just take your campaigns, start them and route them to a conversation, like step one, right? We don't have to add any headcount to do that. And try to make it as simple as possible for people that are coming to your website to have conversations at scale, right? Those are like the top two items. And it's really just like thinking about creating a better mousetrap for people that are on your site. So get in the mind of your buyer. What do they want from you? You know, how many different times can we create an endless funnel? So if someone says like, I don't want a demo, can we ask them if they want to subscribe to our blog, or if they're ready to get the guide on how to do X, Y, or Z? If they're not ready for that, what's the next thing we can offer? What's the next thing? So like our best customers, instead of just having a call to action on their website, like book a demo or contact us or, you know, download this guide, it's done through conversation, and it's done until we can get to a result that the website visitor wants. That's when the magic happens. So create a better mousetrap. And I want you to think about like your actual funnel today. Like who are you prioritizing and who do you actually want to start conversations? For most of our B2B businesses, it looks like this. It's a pyramid. And at the top, it's target contacts. It's that CMO, that C-level, or whoever's going to be the end user of your product. How are we starting conversations with them, or how are we starting our sales process with those important people that are ultimately going to buy from you? And then as we work down, it's those accounts that matter a lot. Those actual logos that we want to win, 50 or 100 accounts that were like, they're the best fit for our solution. We want to sell to them. Next is like ideal customer profile. What does our ideal profile look like? How many employees do they have? Where are they located? What industry are they in? How much revenue do they have? Do they have funding? Are they, you know, a certain tech stack? Whatever that is, like prioritize this. And then of course the bottom two, like website visitors and webinars and return site visitors and like all that outbound activity that's coming back to your site. And then the last prioritization might be, you know, just general page specific things like your pricing page and your contact us page. And if you can take this approach, I think what you can really do is prioritize target contacts. Words are hard today. And working down, you can rethink your funnel that allows you to start with your dream customer first, and with them in mind and what they are going to be looking when they come to your website or just interact with your brand in general. And so that's really like, I think the bread and butter of this entire solution is really optimizing for like it might be different for your business. It might not be the target contact, but just think about like who's the highest dollar, who you all aligned on trying to sell to, and really optimize there, and what those people typically like to do in a sales process with you, not the other way around, not what you want to do with them. Obviously we want to book a demo with them, but like what do they want from you, and how can we just leverage the power of of their interests and their wants and their needs, and create an environment through chat or through whatever other means on your site to make it as easy as possible for them to interact and engage and ultimately to do business with you. I think the next piece I wanted to bring up, and this is probably the biggest value prop that Drift has, is creating a fast lane for VIP buyers. Most B2B companies have a list of accounts that they're trying to break into. Let's not put them through the ringer and treat them like any other website visitor. Let's make it super simple for them to engage with you, and like, let's route them to that account owner, that sales rep, whomever, and we'll actually alert that sales rep when someone's on the website real time. So let's just like skip the contact form, skip the qualification questions, like just give them an avenue to chat with you and make it really personalized. And you'll find yourself getting a lot more opportunities to engage with them. Look something like this, right? And then I think, one of my last takeaways that I've learned is like, your consumers have all these expectations. They're on Netflix, Uber, Lyft, and Amazon. We live in an on-demand economy, right? Make it simple. Be 24/7 with your website and with your engagement strategy and conversations, and cater to people that are coming to your site. Make it super simple for them to get the information that they need, or the resources that are important to them. And you'll find ultimately you will win by doing that, by meeting those expectations. And coming back to some of the results, tying all this in, really looking at some companies that probably look somewhat similar to the audience here. Algolia started 900 conversations with target accounts. This was 2019, using that same like VIP experience, and 900 at bats with accounts that they really wanted to go after. 500% increase in conversations even during COVID. Or tripling chat leads and boosting their spend on advertisements and PPC, right? Or converting more leads than the traditional form field. So these are all probably challenges and opportunities that everybody faces here, which is just getting more demos booked, getting more pipeline, closing more business, right? That's always going to be important. So make it easy, talk to people in your store, and encourage your marketing and sales team to get aligned on who the most important people that you want to talk to are. And that is it for me.
Nice, you nailed it. We got some extra time, so well done. Take a second to catch your breath. That was awesome, Seamus. A lot of great insights there. And we have a bunch of questions here from the crowd, some technical, some a little bit big picture. Just so everyone knows, I know we've gotten a couple questions that, we will share the slides and recording by the end of the day. And, if you have any questions right now, please submit them in the Q&A or in the chat. One of the questions here, when you talk about, targeting the remote worker, have you seen, and maybe this is, kind of something a bit more technical, but, how has working from home impacted the ability to do reverse IP tracking? So I've seen that a couple of times where I've gone on sites and I've gotten something that's not my office, and I know there are like a bunch of different data sources that you can use for that. So just wanted kind of the high level there.
Yeah, it's a super good question and very, very relevant. So we particularly work with 5 different data enrichment platforms. And so we certainly saw an issue with that, mid-March, end of March, with accuracy rates starting to decline. The way that we were able to start addressing it, basically the companies like 6 Sense and Clearbit, Demandbase, basically what they've been doing is using email address and like login sources like Okta to pair business IP to email address. And so the data has gotten actually much, much better. Is it at the same accuracy it was when everyone was working out of an office? Probably not. But the platforms are getting stronger every day at those matches, and it continues to work very strongly. What we've been doing with some of our account-based clients, or most of our account-based clients, is just making sure they've got a good fail-safe. So when those target accounts do hit, we're not giving the wrong company name. We're just going to say something like, "Hey there." So it's a great question, but we're getting better at that. And our partners are certainly pretty well equipped on some different strategies to increase the likelihood that we'll get a good match.
That's great. And that kind of segues to this next question. I know, obviously, 6sense is an insight portfolio company. A lot, we have some people in the crowd who are using it. Do you have best practices of using Drift with 6sense, or is that something that you can provide some, kind of literature on after the call for people who are interested in?
Yeah, I'll touch upon it quickly, and then I'll make sure we send out a follow up on it. But it's basically, 6sense is a great platform. They'll show you, most businesses are using it to like see who's a good fit for their product and what audience they should target and go after, et cetera. Where we can use the 6sense key, API key to plug into Drift. And so it'll continue to evolve and update over time as your audience changes or as your message and targeting strategy change. And so we're just making sure that when those businesses do come to your site, will be accurate with the right message. So more details on that in the follow-up, but at a high level, it's great because it continues to evolve without automatically as your audience evolves.
Great. So kind of going back to these Snowflake and Wistia examples that you mentioned, we talked about kind of the blog subscribers, and I think the blog's a great place to capture emails. I think that's a tactic that a lot of companies kind of miss out on. Do you have any data that kind of shows the success rates of, either blog subscribers or meetings booked via Drift compared to typical forms on those sites? Maybe that's a follow-up or a case study that you may have, but I know there's some interest around that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't offhand. I think the one comment I have on that is what I've seen is, in the header of most websites, it says like subscribe to our blog, or at the footer even. I think just having a chat deployed on a piece of content on a certain blog or blogs increases the likelihood of a sign up, but I don't know if I've got statistical data to back that up.
Got it. Cool. And we also had a point of clarification: the 81% who are not willing to fill out the forms, those were B2B customers? Or is that just broadly?
No, those were B2B customers in the SME to mid-market, which LinkedIn defines as like 250, I think, to 1,000, or it might be 5,000. But regardless, SME and enterprise B2B businesses, and I can try to get the article that LinkedIn wrote on that.
Great. Yeah, we can post some of this stuff also too on the Go network with a recap of kind of what we've been saying. So people feel free to check that out as well. And just finally, kind of as we think about this, and I think there if anyone has any more questions, feel free to shoot them in. But just one more question: if there's kind of one thing, and one you mentioned key takeaway, which is reducing the time, answering now, those kind of things. If there's one kind of key point of optimization that people who are currently using a Drift or an Intercom or a live chat just generally right now, where should they really be focusing their time and their energy to improve performance? Just, if there's just like one thing to start today on it.
Yeah, it's a really good question. My mind's taking me in a few different areas. If I was to pick one,
it could be three if that's too limiting. Try to put some constraints.
So I think given the times that we're living through and that we're all living through, right? I think being an empathetic, using empathy in conversation or in chat is something that's important and relevant and actually real. So what do I mean by that? I think that removing like the actual business terminology or the solutions that you can solve and being more human can really be beneficial. And so an example, might be anytime someone's coming to your website, being thoughtful, and maybe even calling out that, hey, it's great to see you. How are you feeling given, the situation? How has business been since COVID? And just kind of thinking about like what that means to the buyer and what that means to your brand and your experience. But I'd say being empathetical in whatever way that means for you is definitely important. And I think just, the second point being, there's a lot of sales reps, I think, that are that have their days and their strategies ingrained in them. And I think conversations being a new area for a lot of sellers is just taking the time to understand, how conversations are getting routed and what you can do to increase the likelihood that that you're able to connect with folks, knowing that you're not going to events or conferences. So I guess just for sales professionals, if there are any, or marketing leaders that support a sales team, it's just thinking about the training and the coaching, and that could include taking a conversational sales certification on Drift's site, or it could be just reaching out to your account manager and asking for some guidance.
That's great. Awesome. Thanks, Seamus. And if people want to get in touch with you who are on here, where's the best place for them to reach you?
Yeah. So I'm at Twitter at _Seamus_McGrath. And an email's fine too. It's just smcgrath@drift.com.
Great. Thank you for that. I will also post that to the chat now so everyone has it before you leave. Great. Awesome, Seamus. This was great. I think really, really tactical in the way it was executed. So, we really appreciate that. And thank you so much for your time today. I'm sure we'll have some follow-ups from the crowd, and then also, we'll be posting materials to the Go Network. So I recommend everyone check that out as well. So thanks again for your time today, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Okay.
Thanks, Whit. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Christina. Thank you, everyone. Talk soon. All right. Bye.